Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Markets with Morning Joe. I am your host, Joe Nasser, and today is March 23rd. It is Sunday. It is 1:15 Eastern Time. I'm very late to making a video. It is no longer the morning. My apologies, but you know what? We have a very busy week this week. Lots going on personally. So, but I wanted to make a video anyways. I'm only going to be able to make one video, so I'm going to try to make it, uh, short and sweet and try to stick to the majors and try to get my point across as quickly and easily as possible without rambling on and on like I'm doing right now. So, let's get into it. Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been riding the 200-day moving average for the last couple of weeks, and you see it's coming into the 200-day and the 20-day, all right? So the blue line here is the 20-day moving average. The yellow line is 200-day moving average. Ultimately, the bigger move is down, right? So this whole leg down with sideways consolidation, this sideways chop, even though it's heading up higher slowly, little by little, to me, that is just bearish consolidation. So, huge move down, sideways chop. Eventually, I think this is going lower. We could certainly make it higher. You see this long-term trend line that I've had over the last few months. Every time it tags it, it might peak through what intraday basis, but comes back in, goes lower. Tags it, comes back lower. We tagged it again last week. Who knows what's going to happen this week? We could tag it again. We could break above. We could break up to the $90,000 range. There's a 50-day moving average right here, and it's possible we could go even higher up to the mid 90s. But ultimately, I still think even if we did that, that would be short term, and that would just be another start of another leg down. Okay. So until Bitcoin breaks above the mid 90s, which like 95, 96, 97, and works its way higher, I think Bitcoin still has more downside to go. All right. That's my take on Bitcoin. Let's go to the spiders. It's basically the same thing. So we've got this huge move down from February. The top that was made in February went huge move down very fast into March. And since March 13th, we've been kind of moving up, but kind of chop sideways. So, you know, we're still trading below all the moving averages, 200-day, 20-day, 50-day. This huge trend line right here, excuse me, um, it's possible that we consolidate here and move higher, right? We might go up to, possibly 578, 580. So if I measure from this low, 550, up to this high right here, I would say 569, 550. So 19, 20 points, right? So 20 points from here, 558, takes us to 578, which is around this area right here. But we're coming into big resistance, right? So you see we still have all of this resistance over 580. So there's a lot of narrative out right now saying people, advisors, analysts, experts, people that have been doing this for much longer than I have, think that that this low in March is the low, and we're going to make all new highs, all-time new highs. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't believe it. If it breaks above the 50-day moving average, so basically over 6,000, if we can get above, if we can settle up over 5,900, 6,000, and then kind of consolidate in that area, then I would say, yeah, we have a very good likeliness of going higher. But, that has to happen. Until then, the bigger trend now is down. So even if we push our way higher up to 585, 590 maybe, that could very well be the next move down. Same thing with what I said about Bitcoin. Okay. I have this kind of a little triangle here. I made this triangle on an hourly chart. You see here. So I'm going to delete this line. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to my daily. and I'm going to extend this out. And you see that this trend line matches with the 200-day and the 20-day. So there's a lot of resistance here. So until we break above this trend line and above these moving averages, the trend is down. And even if it breaks above it, it would have to stay above it, consolidate above it, and make a strong move, another move higher, in order for me to be convinced that we're going up to make new highs. And until we break above these previous highs, this is a lot of chop right here. We have to get above this. This was all, in my opinion, institutional sellers to retail. Because I follow a lot of institutional and a lot of big, very well known advisors, and a lot of them were saying that the market was going higher from here. And when we look at charts like Palantir and Meta and Hims and Hood, they were all like ridiculous, euphoric fucking charts that like looked like they were just skyrocketed up. They were saying buy at these levels, like they say. I know it's crazy to think that these evaluations are, it's crazy for us to tell you to buy, but it's still a good value. Bullshit. Thank God I didn't listen to those guys. Anyway, follow the technical analysis, guys. And, this next week, just like the last 2 weeks, very, very important. Really, every day is very important, especially heading towards April 2nd. We don't know what's going to happen before April 2nd, on April 2nd, or after April 2nd. So I would say this next month, a lot can happen. And really, ultimately, I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. Because it all depends on what Trump and the other countries and how they end up reacting, right? So I think all this chop is a lot of unknown chop, and of course a lot of market manipulation because options X was last week. So we could break down, maybe do a fake move down and then break up higher, or we could just break up higher and then a leg down. We'll see what happens. This next week, a lot. It's very important. Pay attention. If you're trading, if you're not trading, just pay attention, because these next 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I think are going to be very important, and whatever happens after that is going to be big. Oh, Hughes, Nasdaq. Now, it's the same as the S&P basically, but I'm gonna switch it up to this side over here and go to the Qs, because I have a parallel channel here that I talked about last week. This parallel channel goes from 2022, okay? Basically from November 2022, and you see that over the last 2 years, we've stayed within this channel. It peaked out a little bit right here, but overall, the trend stayed within this channel right here. Well, but for the last 2 weeks, we've been trending below the channel, which is really important to me, at least. That is a sign of weakness. To me, that is a sign of what is to come. Unless we break back into this channel, like what other analysts are saying, they're saying that the lows are in. This was the low, buy the dip, and we're going higher. I'll believe it when I see it. When we break back into this channel above this blue line and trend higher and break above this trend line 520-ish, I don't think we're going higher. Okay, we could make it all the way up here and then get rejected and then fall back down. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's also likely that we could just do sideways consolidation below this blue line the whole time, which would be extremely negative. And then break down low, or something good happens and it finally breaks up to the upside. Right now the markets are like just very tight, very watch and see what happens. All right, good Lord. Gold broke above $3,000. That's very, very good for gold. Silver is it looked like it was going to break out, but then it came back down. So we'll see what happens with silver. Well, I don't know if it's going to correct further. along with gold. Gold might correct or it could continue higher. Really, it all depends on what's going on. But I will say, long term, I'm very bullish on both, and so is the United States Treasury, and every other country on the planet. Everybody's buying record amounts of gold. Something big is going to happen with gold. Gold is not. If it comes down, it's short term, and it's a reason to buy it because it's going much higher. All right. Bitcoin, I don't feel the same about Bitcoin, but who knows? I mean, I'd like to buy Bitcoin, but I'm waiting for it to come down into the at least low 70s, upper 60s, but then see what happens after that. You know. All right, I want to talk about a couple of other charts real quick before I run out of time. So Tesla, obviously we've been talking about it for the last few months. It got completely annihilated. But look what happened this past week, actually on Friday. All right, so over the last 2 weeks, along with the Qs and along with the S&P 500, it basically the charts have been trending in this triangular pattern. All right, you will see it on the Qs and the S&P. Tesla broke out from this trend line. All right, so this triangle looking pattern right here, it broke out on Friday. That was a big breakout. Now, does that mean that the lows are in for Tesla? In my opinion, I don't think so. Can this be a fake breakout, a false breakout? It's very possible. Can it go higher from here? Yes. Can we make it up to 260? Possibly. Can we break above 260? Anything is possible. I don't I don't believe it. If the markets do start to go higher, then very likely, it's possible Tesla can break above the 20-day moving average and kind of, hang around maybe the upper 200s, low 300 range. But I still think that the bigger move is down. I think Tesla has more to go. Um, and that could be options X related because a lot of there was $4.5 trillion liquidated on Friday from options X. It was huge. Triple witching they call it. Basically, all the sectors had options expiration. So there was a lot of shorts on Tesla, and they basically got annihilated because you know the the algorithms, the institutionals, the lords of markets, they don't want to lose that money, so they manipulate the market in their favor. So I think that had something to do with Tesla breaking out to the outside. Same thing with Palantir. Palantir had a very similar breakout. Okay, and I'll admit I was wrong with Palantir. I expected Palantir to go down, but I still hold that position. All right. I think the markets definitely bottomed out short term, temporary for now, and it's up sideways consolidation. We could see another move higher, up to maybe 100, maybe 105. All right, I don't think we're getting past 110, 112. I don't think we're getting up there in Palantir. All right, I Palantir is a very loved stock. It's like the new Nvidia. You could say the Meta. Meta went up to fucking over 700, but um, it's going to take a massive catalyst for this thing to get. I don't think we're going to go higher than 126. I don't think we'll see that unless the markets make a massive move to the upside and we do break out to new highs. Then yeah, anything is possible. But we'll see what happens over these next couple of weeks. I don't see it. I still think this is just some sideways consolidation, basically before it breaks down to the lower end here. That's my opinion. I could be very wrong. We'll see what happens, but I could say Palantir is very favored here. I didn't think it was going to break above this, but this week it had a very good week. So both Tesla and Palantir, but not just them, but like if you look at Hood, for example, Hood also had kind of a lot of stocks. This last week, especially the last 2-3 days in the market, the markets went a little bit higher. So, but there's a lot of resistance. right? So it's fine. You can't go down forever and ever. I mean, Hood came down into this almost basically almost tagged this trend line. I mean, maybe I have to adjust my trend line a little bit. Let me see here. One here. Yeah, there you go. So it tagged the trend line, and now it's going up. Is it going to continue to go higher from here? I don't think so. I think it'll, make maybe possibly maybe a little bit move higher, maybe up to like to the high 40s, and then come back down. We'll see. Am I going to be wrong? We'll find out. All the financials had the same move. J.P. Morgan still very weak looking. American Express still very weak looking. So we'll see what happens. 15 minutes. All right. So UPS had it sold off with FedEx yesterday. So it topped out last week, and I said it was going to come back down. I bought into it, and it went up. I almost sold, but I didn't, and then it came back down. I'm like, shit, does this thing have lower to go? So I closed my position, and it actually went up 3 days in a row. So had I held, I would have been in the money. But then look what happened. It sold off. This topping tail here with a huge sell off after gave me a reason to think that this was going to go lower. I didn't know that FedEx had earnings coming up, and I didn't know that FedEx was going to get blown out of the water. If I go to a FedEx chart, uh, where the hell is FedEx? Is it FDX? Oops, that FedEx Corporation right there. All right. So FedEx, look at the sell-off from FedEx, man. I mean, it was up in the 245 range, sold all the way down to 218. So UPS, being a shipping company, it's a sympathy play. So UPS got sold off, and it came all the way down to 112. That was a good buy at 112 because you could see it ended up closing the day at 115. Is it over? I don't know because now it's trend. It closed below last week's lows. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna give it a couple of more days, maybe till the end of the week. See where UPS ends up. It's very possible UPS falls lower, makes a lower low, back into the 100 range. All right, before it ends up going back higher. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. I want to talk about Meta. Meta, it's basically, I don't know. To me, it's been looking weak. All right. It had a huge day, one single day on Thursday last week, where it went all the way up to 611, 609. What's the high over here? Where the hell is it? 610 was the high, and then it ended up closing at 586, right? So a huge day, a move up, and then sold off that same day. And then the following day on Friday, it went back up, but it's still trending below, these levels here just about. So, it's tricky because it's sitting on top of this support, but it's also sitting below this resistance. So the trend is down. I think Meta it could possibly make another move higher to 617, maybe 620, 625. But I think it's going lower. All right. I still expected it. I expected to get to 540, at least for now. Okay. Apple is still in play. It's got its head and shoulder pattern. You see it. It had a huge move up on Friday. Is very wide rangy, but until Apple breaks above this, until it closes above this trend line, Apple is going lower. Microsoft on a weekly basis, I was looking at this on a daily basis. I thought that this head and shoulder was in play on a daily, so it closed below the trend line a couple of times. But if I look at a weekly chart, this is looking more like a weekly chart. It has not closed below, so this head and shoulder pattern has not triggered yet on a weekly. But when it does, look out below because it's recession time, baby. Markets are falling when that happens. And on that, I'm going to close it. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it was helpful. I'm not going to be able to do another episode today and probably not for the rest of the week. But if you enjoy the information, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share it, and good luck. And I appreciate you all for following. Thank you. Have a great day. Enjoy your week, guys.